And welcome to another edition of the Razorback Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson. I'm your host, Jason Pattyson, and I want to thank everybody for jumping on today. You can also follow us on Hogville Twitter, on Hogville.net, and also on Hogville on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter at VJ Pattyson, and also Dudley Dawson on Twitter as well. Everybody, thank you for jumping on the Hogville.net YouTube edition today. And then got Dudley Dawson jumping on here with us. Dudley, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. I had a glitch there, but so
That's all good. Yeah. So what did you think of the intro?
loved it. John James with some great photos. Good work from you. They love it.
Excellent, appreciate it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun putting that thing together too. And I'm gonna try to sleuth some more photos from him and kind of interchange them a little bit as we go and we get closer to the season February. But for the time being, looks like Dave kind of scored a victory there in the portal last weekend from Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Molina. What a nice little pickup. He was if he wasn't Texas Tech's ace to begin the season, he certainly was at the end of the year. He started their NCAA tournament game, started first in the Big 12 tournament. So just a great pickup, and it would appear you've got three Friday night-esque starters that you can go with Hagan, Smith, Brady Tigert, and now Mason Molina. And you've got a lot of freshmen coming in here as well, who I'm sure will really help out. Obviously, we know what happened at the end of the year last year, the end of the season. Things kind of ran short. Pitchers are tired, pitchers were hurt. Maybe the depth now with something like 9, 10, 11 left-handers. It's pretty interesting there.
Yeah, when you have, I don't think there's too many, if any, staffs that have that many left-handed pitchers on, because that really can benefit in not only just from a start, but also from a situational standpoint.
Yeah, and you've got some really good ones that showed signs and flashes coming back. And Gage Wood, Parker Cole, some of the other guys, Ben Bobby, who had their moments. So you should be in really good shape depth-wise. Now they'll go out there in the fall, compete, and then get with it next season in the 2024 season, which is nuts to say.
So have they? When will the university release the dates for the Fall World Series?
Really didn't do that last year till early September. And it ended up being October when they did it. Yeah, I went to a bunch of games that scrimmages that they had, and I'm sure those will be opening. They were last year, so you can get a look at a lot of new guys, and there are going to be a lot of new guys. 15, 16 freshmen. I guess 15 freshmen, 1 junior college transfer, and then 7 portal transfers. So a lot of new faces. I guess just waiting around to see about the deadline is tomorrow, the 25th, that you have to sign if you have any college eligibility left. The only were drafted that hadn't done that yet is Jackson Wiggins. Obviously didn't pitch this year and would not be able to pitch, whether it's pro or Arkansas, at least to my understanding, early in next season. And then Gabe Gackel, who is the recruit that got drafted, the Saudi that got drafted in the 20th round, but he's already here, already in his apartment, and it's confirmed he's not signing. But they technically have to 4 o'clock Central Time tomorrow to make that decision.
Gotcha. And what I've kind of noticed too with Coach Van Horn is that his roster is really starting to mirror like what Eric Musselman's has a little bit, where you had some stability and now you're starting to see that turnover kind of year after year. And I think that's where the portal is really taking effect.
Yeah, and you look at he's certainly done a great job of bringing in high school kids, but the portal guys that he's brought in, many of them have been drafted now, and some of them are already minor league doing well. This latest crew, is just signed up and getting going. He and Coach Hobbs, Coach Thompson do a great job at getting out, getting these guys early. I know that some people get frustrated because you have the Major League Draft coming in and taking, maybe the top of the crop. But if you're recruiting at a high level, that's going to happen every year. It happens other places that have elite programs. It's not as if it only happens at Arkansas.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of the trend. What you're seeing is that if you are on that top echelon of teams, you're not going to have those holdovers that you might have had a couple of years ago. You're going to start to see where all of these rosters are starting to have that yearly churn, with the LSU or possibly with the Florida or I mean even TCU. You're starting to see a lot more transition. And granted, yes, in years past you thought maybe that transition isn't such a good thing, but now it is, because you're getting fresh bodies in there that you haven't seen before, or you may have seen before, but they're really kind of mold into a team, and a new team, kind of like an all-star almost. But that's where Dave is really making his, really earning his money, is that he's able to take all of these pieces and really put them together so that by the time April rolls around, they've got a good cohesive unit.
Yeah, and Kansas appears to be one of the places, Kansas and Missouri, a couple of places that they really getting a lot of players from, or at least have been there beforehand. But one of the things that's been interesting to me is the, transferring in conference. I know the big one left out there right now is Luke Coleman, from the pitcher from Alabama, but it's like he's either going to go to LSU, Tennessee, or Mississippi State. So, you're going to take Alabama's best pitcher, and he's suddenly going to be, at the forefront of one of these other really good teams, similar to what Molina did by coming to Arkansas. But this one's an in-conference transfer.
Yep. And yeah, it's going to be fun to see how kind of things shake out here in the next few days, and everybody kind of getting their lineups cemented too, getting ready for fall ball. So, quick turn over to softball for just a second. Courtney Deifel kind of got a little bit of Christmas in July, didn't she?
Absolutely. Rylan Hedgecock, who had, I don't know if retires the right way, but had graduated and decided she was into the business world, and that her softball career would be over. But from all indications, maybe the job didn't come along that she wanted to, and she decided to come back for one more year. That obviously gives Arkansas 4 players that have had over 18 home runs in a single season. A couple of them have done it twice. The Bogle Bombers are back in full stead, I think. You look at the ones they've got coming in. They, obviously Coach Deifel did a wonderful job as well in the transfer portal, getting a couple of pitchers. The Big Ten hits leader, who was number 2 in America with 102 hits. The outfield is going to be absolutely loaded, and you've now got also 4 freshmen coming in, all ranked in the top 65 or so. All really good. It's going to be one of those situations that there's no such thing as too much depth, too much riches, because obviously people can get hurt, people can struggle going through seasons. Yeah. He looks really loaded right now. You have to be that in the SEC, because that's, we can sit around here and we can throw out any sport and just about, you can say that, well, that's the SEC is the best one in that sport. Conference is strength.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple people about this lineup that Courtney's going to be sporting. With also there, I haven't seen any announcements yet, and like you said, I think with baseball kind of coincides with softball, and when they announce, and they'll have some scrimmages like they did last fall as well. But you look at with Rylan Hedgecock and where she kind of fits in this lineup, there's a possibility she might be a 4 or maybe a 5, 6, or a 7 hitter, where she was a 3, 4, 5 hitter. And that really taught, and like you were just saying with that depth, I think that Courtney went out and said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to dominate in the portal, and we're also going to dominate in the recruiting aspect, in with also the pieces that she's got coming back that are a year older. They've got more at bats at the plate at the college level, with some of these youngsters that they've got on this the lineup now, it really starting to kind of turn out nice for her.
Yeah, and it's she's going to have a bevy of pitching options again, a bevy of catching options as well.
Yeah,
There's 4 women that pitch that's in that lineup. It's going to be, and you look at everybody, and it's uh, so much versatility among the 4 freshmen coming in. Casey Wood from Bentonville in one of them that uh, certainly didn't get her athletic ability from her dad, my good friend Jeff Wood. In the new business with us for a while, but you look at the versatility that they all bring. It's really going to be fun. I mean, going to watch the the fall scrimmages, and they occasionally have tournaments in the fall as well. I'm sure that's probably going to be the case. It's going to be really fun to watch and see who rises to the top, because there's going to be a lot of depth there, and you better come to work every day, or somebody's going to pass you up.
most definitely. And with that loaded lineup, Courtney Deifel also added DJ Gasso
Mhm.
to the staff. Came over from Utah. What does he bring to the table that Courtney saw that would be a great fit for the team?
Well, obviously, he couldn't help but learn a lot of softball from his mom.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, Patty Gasso, and he actually played baseball in college at a couple of different places, and so he knows a lot about both games and how they can intertwine and stuff like that. But he certainly, while he was at Utah, really elevated the couple of years he was there. I think 3 years, elevated their batting average over 60 points, and also the power
It's
went up.
crazy.
Knows what he's doing there. Uh, from what I understand, great recruiter as well. Then when you add in Danielle Gibson, who's one of the Arkansas
Yep.
legendary players, All American while at Arkansas. No slight to any of the other assistant coaches, but it is a staff that should be able to continue the excellence that the former staff had, and maybe even improve on it.
Also, kind of interesting dynamic too is that with Oklahoma and Texas entering the SEC next year, now you've got a mother and a son kind of going at it, going against each other on the diamond. And I always think it's kind of fun because there's always that integral that I know Courtney spent time with Patty Gasso as well, but now you could have a little bit of a chess match going on during some of those games.
Yeah, and one of the intriguing, I agree with you that there shouldn't be any secrets between the two and all that.
Yeah,
Actually, Coach Deifel was actually worked for Coach Gasso's, early in her career, so she knows, all about what type of coach she is and all that. Uh, Another dynamic to this is that Coach Gasso is the brother-in-law of a big Arkansas fan, Bobby Bones,
hmm
who certainly made his way in the radio and TV field these days. And so, that's gonna. I bet we see him at a few games this year.
yeah. I think that would be kind of fun, and yeah, I mean, it's always fun whenever you get a celebrity or hitting those games and stuff, and it's nice and it's really great to see folks going out there and supporting. But I do want to add as well that we will be having DJ Gasso on the show here in the next couple of weeks. I did get confirmed from the Arkansas Communications Department. So when I get a final word on when that will happen, we'll get that word put out. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and uh, also coming this fall, going to try to get a couple other guests on too to kind of preview a little bit of what they've seen during fall scrimmage as well. So, uh,
Got to get some better looking people on here than me and Otis.
uh, you're preaching to the choir, my man. You're preaching to the choir. No, it's honestly it's been a lot of fun with you guys too, kind of getting this thing kind of, I wouldn't say started up, but restarted a little bit,
Reestablished. Let's go with that word.
Reestablished. And so I do want to switch gears off of the baseball softball topic, because I mean this is something that we're all 4 of us are going to work on, myself, you, Otis, and then Drake, is coverage of football. And we just got through SEC Media Days this last week. What did you kind of take from Sam's appearance in Nashville?
Certainly comfortable in his own skin. I've said so many times that he's just a real dude. Obviously they didn't have the year that they wanted to last year, just like the year before when they won the close games. They lost some close games last year, and that kind of flipped the record. Brutal schedule as usual, but not as brutal as it could be. There's opportunities, but you have to get off to a great start because that late September, most of October schedule is tough. You go to Arlington, then you have 3 road games in October. Just and they're not against also ran. So you're going to have to get off to a good start. I do think from just watching different things that KJ is also very comfortable in his own skin. They gave him some shoulder by letting the quarterback be the number one guy, in the conference.
Yep.
So I love that thing. I know how his mind works, and that'll just be something to watch. I also think that bringing back Coach Enos, and I'm not criticizing anybody, in terms of the offensive and defensive coordinator, except for bringing the tight end in, on first and goal at the one in Missouri. Now I will criticize that, but I do think. What they want to get done now. And certainly Coach Enos has been here. Him and Coach Pittman have a great relationship, and I'm really excited about the young defensive coaches who want to bring pressure, who certainly done great in terms of recruiting so far. This kind of brings a different element to the table. Again, not to criticize the others, but it's like any sports team. You get somebody in there that's new, young, and exciting. It kind of gets the old guys going. So
exactly. You have to. It's always nice too, because whenever you do bring those young guys in, like you said, and they get the old guys going, it kind of reinvigorates, gets that fire, gets that spark going again. And it's not one of those angles where it's like, man, my job's on the line. It's like, man, these guys are going to fire me up, and these are going to bring out the kid in me again. And I think that's the difference in the culture that Sam has instilled there on the university. Is it's not a culture of fear, it's a culture of including and also making sure that the staff's taken care of. And whenever you're taken care of, you perform better.
Well,
and I think he's done a great job at that.
Said he's a good guy, but he has shown over the course of his tenure here, his short tenure so far, that he will swap out head coaches. Now, some of them may left on their own. I think a lot of them were, encouraged to get other jobs, or when they get other jobs, encouraged to go on and take them. But I do think he's shown the mentality that he can be nice. He can be a good guy, but he also can make tough decisions that need to be made. And it's even better, I think, that with the two coordinators here last year, obviously Kendall Briles landed on his feet at TCU, and I know that Coach Odom's got to be excited, out there at UNLV. He certainly had a good tenure at Missouri before, probably not the way anybody wanted to, but I'm sure that he's excited about being out there in 109-degree dry heat weather or fall.
Yeah, that I've always said this, that my weight and heat don't mix. That's here in Arkansas. That would never. I mean, I don't think I could survive in Las Vegas, but yeah, I'm glad to see that he's able to, be able to get to lead a program that it's going to be fun and exciting. And also, too, I want to make sure to let everybody know that if you do want to comment, you guys can jump into the comments, throw anything out there for Dudley, or I will be more than happy to answer those for you, or any questions at all. But whenever Sam went to look for an offensive coordinator, when he knew the writing was on the wall, and he found the perfect, I think it is the perfect fit for this offense with Dan Enos, keeping KJ upright. How important is it for him to play LSU 4th week of the season versus the 9th week of the season?
Oh, I think that anytime you can play somebody early, it's probably a double-edged sword in that you want to have your offense and defense rolling, but at the same time, if you play late in the season, everybody there's nagging injuries, all that. So
Mhm.
I think that will help. But one thing I do know that when he went out to see what he could do in terms of offensive coordinator, I'll never forget when he was here in his previous stint as offensive line coach. Coach Pittman sat down and he told us, I want to go north and south. It's east and west, yeah, fun and all that, but I want to go north and south. I think that's his mentality. Has been for a long time. Yes, he has the ability to open up the offense, do some different things, but north and south has always been his bread and butter. He's got an offensive line that's big, built to do that. Now, they don't have a lot of experience in terms of Razorbacks on the offensive line, other than a couple of guys. But there sure is a lot of athleticism. There's sure a lot of big guys, and the ceiling, I think, uh, is maybe better than the line that just
Mhm.
left here. All very good players, but I think when you look at it as a cohesive unit, if you're being objective about it, midway through last year, the offensive line wasn't working as well as it had been previously.
Yeah, with that offensive line, like you just mentioned, you've seen the emergence of some young guys that during the end of spring practice were starting to get a lot more reps, a lot more playing time. You looked at like Marion Harris, Patrick Kudus. Uh, how important is it also to make sure that he's got these young guys ready with him and Cody Kennedy, making sure that they've got the I'm not going to say five. It's going to be like 7 or 8 that they want that they need to have ready to go on game one.
Yeah, and it appears Patrick Kudus is going to be one of those swing guys that can play any position, and so I would imagine he'd be in that top 7 or 8 group. Uh, you mentioned Coach Kennedy and Coach Pittman. I would tell you that I think one of the other guys that has been integral in getting these guys ready to go is the new strength and conditioning coach, Ben Souders. You have had offensive linemen go from 370 to 340 to 320. Obviously, when you're a big guy, you can carry some weight, but not all weight's good. You don't
Yep.
want to get too thin and all that. You still want to have your push and all that. But I do think, from just seeing these guys on campus this summer, or I should say, just around the football camps and stuff, and listening to them talk and
Mhm.
Sounders and them talk, they really feel great about where they're at conditioning wise, because 6'6", 370 sounds good, but 6'6", 340 plays better. 6'6", 320 maybe, your boarding may be a little small, which sounds ridiculous, but for each body type, it works others.
Yeah, it does. And I think what one of the most resounding pieces of information that we got from SEC Media Days is that Rocket puts on 10 pounds, hasn't lost a step, still has the burst, still has the quickness, still has the agility. You look, and the big one of the day, of course, was Landon Jackson had put on 45 pounds over this last offseason. And like you had mentioned with Ben Souders, he's transforming these bodies to a point where Sam was envisioning this whenever he got here. He just didn't have quite the right piece yet, but I think he really has found that right piece. And I think you're going to see some surprises on the football field where guys are able to take those hits and not have maybe as many nagging injuries, but be able to not take the hit but give the hit now.
Yeah, and Landon Jackson, I swear to you, when we first saw him in the 8th grade, he was already at 230. Uh, he stayed pretty close to that. His battle increased, but was able, really healthy during the off season. Was able to put on that weight. It's obviously, really good weight, or at least it looks really good in the suit. you know,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see how it's at the football field, but you don't take a guy like that to SEC Media Days unless you think he's going to have a breakout season. And, I think that's what's likely to happen. He's always looked like a man child. His
Mhm.
younger brother's the same way. Arkansas is one of the many teams, his younger brother. But I think he and the defensive line will probably make steps forward this year. because not only because some of the returnees will be better, but because they've also went out and in the course of adding 40 players, be a new freshman, junior college, transfer, portal, 40 players, they address the defensive line in a way that needed to be addressed for both being able to hold up against the run and also get some pressure, because that is, that's going to be one of the focal points of this new defensive staff.
Yeah, and you always come into fall camp, defense is always a little bit ahead of the offense, and from all indications through spring practice, it felt like it was more of a push and pull. One day you'd have the offense was getting the best of the defense was getting the best of the offense the next day. It's going to be fun to see how the defense comes in after, for fall camp. Are they going to be a little bit more ahead of the game than the offense? Or is the offense going to be able to execute in a way where it's helping both sides, really? Because whenever you have those points of execution where you see the defense coming in a little bit ahead of the curve, you kind of have to have those conversations of like, is this going to really work this season with the offense? But I think that you're going to definitely see a little bit more of an evening out.
Well, I think this will be the 42nd fall camp that I will have been around. And over the course of those, I've learned that while watching them, that I can get very excited about them going against each other, making plays and all that. And then it's not been as exciting or as good as I thought. What I do think in observations over the years, what you need to see in the time that we see, practice that these days, is you need to flash the offense. You need to see flashes from the defense. You don't need to see, just like you don't need to see turnovers or mistakes in a game. You don't need to see them in practice. Far too often, I see penalties. You see, whether it be offensive or defensive, you see bad throws, you see dropped balls, all that. Those are the kind of things I look for during the course of the preseason practice. Execution. Is execution going okay? Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have execution, then it's not going to work. And vice versa, if you don't have the talent, obviously it doesn't matter how you execute. So, we'll see. Those are a couple of things I'll be watching very early on.
Yep, most definitely. Same here too. Real quick update, y'all. We're going to get out of here in just a second here. But like I said earlier, we're going to have DJ Gasso on here in the next couple of weeks with myself and Dudley here on the Razorback Diamond Report. We'll also be, as football starts to kind of get into that fall camp mode, which, if I'm not mistaken, is not this weekend, but starts next weekend. Is that correct?
Yes. You can start 4 weeks before the first game. Obviously, Arkansas's first game is September 2nd in Little Rock.
And so we'll may not be as much towards the baseball, softball going into fall camp, and through fall camp we may have a little bit more football also with myself and Otis, and so just kind of be looking out for all of that good stuff coming from us. And I want to thank everybody for jumping on today, and be sure to like, subscribe, and also follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook as well. And Dudley, you got any last thoughts?
Nope. I guess one more time, tomorrow at 4 is the signing deadline. I assume that Jackson Wiggins will sign a nice contract between now and then. But if he doesn't, be in.
All right. Awesome. I'm your host, Jason Pattyson, and thank you for jumping on the Razorback Diamond Report with Dudley Dawson here on YouTube.net. I'm sorry, on Hogville.net YouTube Live. Take care, y'all.